Shamareni hol. Shamareni hol.
All right. Thank God it's Friday. This is a really, really great day for me, because I'm going to be talking to two very, very special people. The professor and champion Azuma Nelson is coming later. Give it up, give it up, give it up. But right now I'm going to be talking to a great guest. She has come all the way from the United States of America. And what makes her great, it always, it reminds me of something that I quote a lot. I always say that you can blame somebody for pushing you down, but when you refuse to get up, then you have yourself to blame. Give it up, man. It's not an original quotation, but I love it, because sometimes instead of getting up and doing things, we rather relax and blame and find excuses. If you do not get up and do it, you have yourself to blame. Now, my next guest, she got up and she did it. Back in the day, way back, as far back as 1945, when there was all the racial discrimination in America, and black people can't do this, and black people are oppressed, she stood up. She had a passion for music. She wanted to be a percussionist, and she stood up, and she was the first African American to break that racial and gender barrier by registering at the Juilliard School as far back as 1945. Ladies and gentlemen, show some love for Elayne Jones! Elayne, welcome to Ghana.
Well, my daughter brought me to Ghana.
Your daughter brought you to Ghana?
Yes, right.
Great. Oh, your daughter is living here?
She's been living here for about 10 years.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And she's built an awesome facility.
Oh, wow.
In Akosombo.
Okay.
Akosombo.
Yeah.
And I'm really very impressed with what she and my son-in-law have done.
Fantastic.
They built this wonderful, they have, I don't know, it seems like acres. When you come from the States, anything more than one block is a lot. So she has all this, and she's growing her own vegetables and her fruits, and then she's trying to teach people how to eat, maybe, have a cafe. And she has a room full of books.
Wow.
Because she wants people to read.
Wow.
So
Maybe I'll invite her here one of these days so I can have a chat with your daughter.
Yes, you have to.
Okay.
Have to get her on.
Okay. But right now, and I hear you are 83?
The last time I looked, yes.
My goodness. Can we get a close-up on it? How do you do it? Let me start from there, man. You look so vibrant.
Well, that's what music does for you.
Really?
Yeah, playing music is so beautiful. It's so wonderful for the heart, for the spirit, for the soul.
Yeah.
And when you're playing music, I could tell you one story, but it might not work right here. But I had an incident. My husband used to come and pick me up after our concerts, and I made a comment to him about how wonderful the music was, and it made him jealous because he felt that the music was able to do for me
what he hasn't done for you?
What he couldn't do, yeah.
So music, but yeah, let's talk a little bit about your music. You broke that racial barrier.
Yeah.
I mean, classical music is seen as quote unquote white,
Exactly.
upper class,
exactly.
whatever. As an African American back then, 45.
No, 42.
42.
I started in 42.
Oh,
I got-
my error.
No,
42.
no, it's not an error.
Yeah.
It's just that the scholarship that I got, which allowed me to go to Juilliard by Duke Ellington, was in 1945.
Wow.
But in 1942, I started music because I give total credit to my parents. My parents came here from Barbados. When I say here, I remember where I am. No, my mother migrated to the United States from Barbados to further her piano.
Okay.
And my father migrated, separately they came, to further his art. They met here. I keep saying here.
Well.
They met in New York.
Yeah.
And I was a result of their union. So what happened in those days, this would be like the late 20s, almost every black woman, the only thing she could look forward to was being a domestic worker. But my mother's ambition was to be maybe a concert pianist. Now, if you know, historically today, there are probably only two African-American concert pianists. And one was Andre Watts, and the other one just passed away. So here was my mother in 1926 who wanted to be a concert pianist, but what she ended up as was, say, a domestic worker. So anyhow, she hated it. You know, of course, she wanted to be a musician. So to make a long story short, when I was born, she put me at the piano, and she used to sit next to me, and she would tug me on my wrist, you know, when I played a wrong note. And she sat next to me, and she made me practice. My dad
As early as how young?
About 6.
6?
Yeah, about 6 years old. And she always said to me, "No way you're going to clean white people's floors."
Wow.
And that's the thing that she kept drilling into my head. No way you're going to clean white people's floors.
Wow.
And because of the kind of person she was, she never said to me, "Well, you can't do that because that's for men or that's for white or whatever." She says, "You're going to do it," right? So when it got time for me to go to high school, I lived in Harlem. You ever hear of Harlem?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know Harlem.
I lived in Harlem, and my mother didn't want me to go to school in Harlem. She wanted me to go to, and it was called Music and Art High School. So she determined that I was going to go to Music and Art High School. It wasn't my idea. Of course, she claims, "Oh, no, it was yours." I said, no, I wanted to go out and play ball. So she says, "No, you're going to do it." So she made me practice. She took me to teachers. They helped me. And lo and behold, I got into Music and Art High School. At that time, the only black. And, when I got into Music and Art High School, all piano students had to take an orchestral instrument, okay? So, of course, my time came, because I was a pianist, I came in, and I had to choose an instrument. So I'd always heard the violin, you know, so I said, "I want to play the violin." They said, "No, you can't play, you're too skinny." I said, "What?"
Really?
Yeah, you're too skinny to play the violin. So I said, "Maybe the trombone?" No. So a teacher then came by with a pair of drumsticks and said, "Give her the drums, all Negroes have rhythm."
Wow.
So that's how
Really?
Yeah, all Negroes have rhythm. So that's how I got the drums. The only thing is, you see, what they figured in those days, that we black girls would go through high school, we get married, and that was the end of it. So their contemplation was, why teach them anything?
Yeah,
You know,
because they're not going to use it anyway.
They're going to
Yeah.
use it. But I fooled them, you see. I took to this instrument like duck takes to water. And I started practicing and practicing and practicing. And the next thing I knew, I was a senior in high school. I played in all the orchestras from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th to senior. And when I got to the senior, it just so happened, by luck, that Duke Ellington was offering a scholarship to 3 students graduating that year. Didn't matter what school you came from. It was just a whole citywide scholarship. My mother said, "You're going to try out for that." And I said, "Mom, I can't try out for that. You know, those hotshot violinists, because these were all white kids, you know, they all have special teachers.
Yeah.
And I can't do that." My mother said, "Sure, you're going to do it." So I obediently took the audition, and I got into Music and Art High School. So that was the real beginning of my career. When I got to high school, when I got to the senior year of high school, Duke Ellington, as I said, offered this citywide scholarship. And again, my mother says, "I'm going to try out for it." I tried out, and I was one of 3 winners. Myself, then 2 white boys. The following year, there were 3 white boys. So there were 6 of us all together. I was the only black and the only woman. I was the only one that everybody thought, "Yeah, she'll never make it." But I was the only one that made it.
All right.
I was
Give it
the
up,
only one.
man. Give it up.